something terrible.
I mean,
I'll be hyped once I see the facts.
We have a
we have a pop quiz.
Are you kidding me?
Tech.
Again? This is gonna just keep wrecking my grade.
If you can't come up with anything, just rant about how all the characters are terrible.
No, it's stuff like, who called this lady to dinner?
Be like, I don't know, but they're an idiot.
One of the characters in the credit.
I feel like he is the type of person to give half credit just for that.
Oh my god, I didn't read the whole question, and so like, I just wrote who said the quote, and then I was so sad. I was like, oh.
I don't even remember half of it. Like, this is so stupid.
Yeah,
Spark notes.
But a lot of that stuff isn't on Spark Notes.
No,
it's not
all of it
relevant.
is on Spark notes.
turn on.
Are you trying to turn on your computer?
Yeah.
Don't. Then
Yum
it
yum.
happens.
Sometimes it doesn't like to work.
No.
Me. Or me.
HuffPost. Politico.
Do you know anyone without a roommate?
LOL. BuzzFeed. Gross.
Without a roommate.
I wish.
Everyone I know kind of found one. But there's the single story, I think. Okay.
Is there food there? I'm breaking up with you.
Here.
Eden, October, Amy, Suika, Thomas, here, Catherine, Eden,
Here.
Diane,
Unfortunately.
Tommy,
Here.
Lucian, Sohil, here,
What you doing there?
Here.
My dad started listening to Varsity. I don't know how I feel about that. What does he think about it? He's like, wow, I like this. I like this, and I like Richard Orofino, and I'm like, wow, me too. What picture?
I of course made it. It should have been due last week, but since I wasn't here, the team got fair, and I wanted you to have time to at least ask me questions or to send me comments when I can actually respond to them. So it's due tonight. So let me start by asking you, do you have questions? Yeah. How are you supposed to start it?
Oh, funny.
I think I'll come to your question last. Let's start over here.
Wait, okay, so I don't know, and I couldn't figure out how to point footnotes to be like footnotes and not. Girl, I got you. Wait, help me. Wait, the references.
Wait, so we want, okay, so you two talk. I want endnotes.
I know.
Wait, no, Josh. Hold on a second. Footnotes and endnotes in terms of format are exactly the same. No. The only difference between them is that endnotes are at the end of the paper as opposed to the footnote.
Yay. Ha, ha.
I want endnotes because I don't want you to give me.
Did you look at the sample paper?
Yes. That's the point. So you two can talk. Question here? No. All I said was the total number of quoted material throughout your paper, indirect quotes, should not be more than what averages three lines of quotes per page. So 12. So if it's a 4-page paper, you shouldn't have more than 12 lines of direct quotes because it bumps up your
I have no direct
your
quotes.
report. And what I want
Yes, I do.
is, yes, I want quotes because having some quotes is good in terms of integrating your evidence. But I also want your writing. I want your analysis. So I want 70% of it at least to be yours.
When it says second round of taxes, does it mean taxes after 65?
What?
I'm doing the ideas paper, and it asks if the second round of taxes were legal, and is that the taxes from the acts that were put after 1765?
Yes.
Okay. Dude, I completely based my has
it's
half
helpful.
of those questions.
Okay, yeah, this is, same thing I told the morning class, okay? For students who are totally stuck and have no idea what they're doing, you follow everything that I did. But, and let me emphasize this, you're in Amstud, okay? I want you, the one thing I can give you is that you learn how to think. No, you learn how to think.
My life.
And that means I don't give you a rubric, and I don't tell
how
all
to
of you,
think
oh,
this
you have to give me exactly
brainwashing.
this element. Because what I would be getting was exactly the
This
same
quote.
paper that repeats itself every 4 pages. Which is, first, boring, and second, not teaching you how to actually, solve the problem.
It's Chicago, he says not to do
You know, I
that.
feel like every single thing my paper is like I
What do I write?
wasn't there.
No, not
and I
like
think
actually, like actually.
everything that I have in
Just
my
like
paper
page
is from my
numbers.
source.
Short answer to your question is yes.
So I cite like everything in my paper.
Cite everything.
And so like my entire intro and like my entire conclusion and my entire like every sentence.
Your intro, if it's a good intro, shouldn't need it. The rest of the body paragraph.
We top or bottom page.
So I have body paragraphs which mostly take from the same source per paragraph. So I cite every sentence in the paragraph.
Or can I put one source at the end? of the
At the
paragraph?
end of the paragraph would be fine. Then what that tells the reader is everything in that paragraph came from that source. I'm okay with that. So long as what you're doing is, if that's actually true.
My name is Abed.
Like the source at the end, because he was just talking about, do to say all
If
this
your intro
information
paragraph
was
is
found
longer than a
from.
page, it's probably too long.
You do.
If it's
What do you
only
mean,
like
like
3
the
sentences,
daily
probably-
these?
Yeah, I'll just do that.
Yeah. Wait, but what do we write for that? Go all
If it's
the way down.
anywhere in the middle, you're probably
I just use
fine.
citation machine. Okay. So like this is a good one.
Alright.
You're technically supposed to put the access, like the date you accessed it to, but like that today. So I'm not gonna.
I wrote it past perfect.
Wait, how do you format the quote? Is it
I'm
like
asking you to write in the past
What?
tense.
how do you
Sometimes
the period go in
students
there?
might want to say like, it
Yes.
would have, or something like that.
And then you
That's
do
fine, but I want it written in the past tense. Otherwise, I tend to go, what happens when you write in the present tense, for things that happened in the past, is I go running to my window just to make sure I'm still in the time that I'm actually existing in.
Would have been that's past participle, but it's okay.
Okay, like your other question, I'm gonna treat that at the end.
Oh, I forgot the question.
Okay.
What if we take it like common sense says?
Oh yeah.
Like it still says whatever.
Could I?
Yes.
Did Thomas Paine emphasize or did he emphasize?
Put it in the did emphasize proper English?
No, he emphasized or he did emphasize?
I don't know, how are you using it in a sentence?
Why can't you just say he emphasized?
I
I think that makes life way easier. Use the perfect sentence.
Well, the people
So if I use quotes, so if I use multiple quotes from the same document or source, like should I cite it twice or should I put it under the same?
You can, I am not gonna complain if you just keep citing it over and over. Especially since they're endnotes, there's no reason for me to complain.
So are we supposed to cite the book? If we already have like primary sources from other ones, do we have to use a book? Or
If you're putting information in context, so like you're quoting a document. Where are you getting the context from?
well, like the document, I cited as a class standard on Google, like for all the.
But where do you get the context for your document?
The book.
Then you should cite the book.
Okay.
Should it be in the same sentence or like after the period?
I don't put a number on it. You told me when I asked you for, you told me you have at least 3 sources because all of you turned in something to me telling me you have at least 3 sources that you can use.
Do I have to use those sources? Oh. Or is it just?
In your case, absolutely. Okay.
Oh my god.
There's no space.
Is there a minimum on how many quotes?
No, you don't have to use those sources, but write me a good essay.
I did.
Fine. Good.
If there's like a secondary, if I use like a website, it's just for like information stuff, but it's just still cited.
If it's not information that you had from somewhere else, then yes.
So your guide only uses one
Per page?
No.
Per paragraph?
The problem is all of you cannot be trusted with semicolons.
I can. I hate the college.
No, you can't.
I visited you behind the trip.
This is what I'm talking about. I had a student 1 year, a junior, who turned in a 7-page paper with 42 semicolons.
How do you write a 7-page paper?
Therefore, you get 1 personal usage of the semicolon, or I start getting cross. Other than that,
Were there any periods?
You want to check mine?
Oh.
It was almost that way, yes. I'm not counting that. I said your personal usage of a semicolon you get.
Dr. Smith, did I use that correct?
I don't understand the semicolon. What is flow? That's why you're
Don't use it, just use one. Like, don't use a regular colon.
You know what? I absolutely guarantee, okay? I promise and assure you that if you don't use a single semicolon this entire semester, all of your prose is going to be awesome.
You're gonna break.
It's not even I'm not even going to go there. Yes.
So if I use the American Yelp thingy, who should I put as the author? Because there's a very long list.
Just put the first name and then ethanol. It's fine.
But there's a very long list of
Right.
contributors.
First name, ethanol, it's fine.
Okay.
I know, but he's doing his best. Let him live.
Yes.
Ethanol. I'm curious now. I've never noticed this before. Why is he not dead today? I was dead. And then what?
Which one?
Then I
That's
started
just
living.
That's the class.
My life. Yep. That's me. Also,
Sure.
I need to get out of it.
Although I think I need you to
I'm trying to practice after school. I can't be dead.
No, it's not. It's not the
Shit, is my
PDF.
volume off? Fuck. Don't
It's
play.
fine.
Don't
It's
play.
classic.
Don't play. Don't play. Okay.
Anything else?
So just want to start the paper and then run fresh productive and then decide.
The reason,
Like I already done it. Obviously, like it's
turn it in, it gives me your name and title up the top, therefore I don't need a header at any time.
Wait, you want me to make that?
But headers take up room that we don't have to fill with writing. I was relying on that.
Writing every
I have all the footers and I think there's like a paragraph in the fourth page.
Josh, all you're doing is showing me you didn't read the stuff that I put up on the page telling you precisely how to do it.
Me on what?
Why can't they just let me have my password to be as long as I want it
Let's
to
talk
be?
about George Washington.
I don't like George Washington. See, George Washington isn't like...
Does it involve-
I'm heartbroken. Troy and Abed in the morning. Fight me. I want to die. So sad, so sad.
How come everyone has
What was the other part? What was the only other part that I remembered? Take
I was listening
never
to the 1974 casinos. They're so good though.
Oh my god. You should listen to Yeah, I am.
3 times. We're starting to be, your constitution exam is going to be March 15th.
Oh. Stop forcing your candy on me, Jacqueline. I don't want your candy. Okay? Stop forcing your religion on me.
Did you mean me at Christianity?
Your what?
Me at Christianity.
All I want you to do in your quotation marks is make sure that they're double quotations, not British single quotations.
Ew.
There's a difference.
Single quotation.
You have to use an Oxford comma.
Single.
You should always use an Oxford comma.
No, I don't agree with you.
Did you learn that sometimes if you have a list of things, you only need 2 commas and a third one?
What?
That's
Stupid. You need the third.
Exactly.
I think it depends on the situation.
Sometimes it's good for comedic effect if you leave it out.
I'm worried.
I'm dead.
Students,
I'm worried. I'm dead. I'm gonna kill myself.
3 occasions to form a dictatorship.
I heard 3 Asians.
3 times.
I heard 3
Had,
Asians.
had he done that, we would be having a very different conversation right now.
Wait, who offered it?
The first time
We would probably
the
have a
army was
conversation.
camped right outside Philadelphia, none of the soldiers had been paid. And they decided they were going to go, some of them, decided that they should go invade and take over the Continental Congress, which was in Philadelphia, in order to assure that they got what was coming to them. Washington all 3 times said no, because he was committed to the Republican process. It turns out, though, that money was central to the problems that the country had. I told you earlier that there was a shortage of coins, and that the colonies actually experimented with the pine tree shilling, all of which said that they were minted in 1652, even though they weren't.
Me too.
So the Continental Congress is going to adopt the first constitution, the Articles of Confederation. And the Articles had their own problem, which we're going to see. And they were unable to address the reality of the post-independence period. So paper money schemes have always been a problem, because whenever anyone the thing about coins under mercantilism is that they always had the gold and silver attached to them, right? So you always knew the value. The problem with paper money is that it always ended up inflated. In New England, where there was an incredible amount of commerce, they always ended up with too much paper money, and then the value drops, and then you might as well just actually burn your currency for kindling. At one point, should we see this on the slide? The Continentals, which were the dollar originally printed in the first year of the war by the Continental Congress, they printed so much of them that they became useless, and people started using the expression that things were not worth a continental. It became this derogatory term. So the states were fixing their own rate on the currency. They would determine what they were. Almanacs were published, so I suppose the one group of people who were always making money were the almanac publishers. And the almanacs would tell you exactly what the exchange rate is between currencies. I will give you an example of that in a subsequent slide. It's a book that actually collects information. In this case, it's about exchange rates of currencies. Like that. Maryland had actually even experimented with 3 different currencies all at the same time, hoping that one of them was not supposed to depreciate. It's impossible. It doesn't work that way. So Congress in March 1780, again, this is the Articles of Confederation Congress, they decide to devalue the dollars that they had issued, and they make them 1/40th of their face value. The hope is that the states then would issue their own paper money. Okay? They want to get out of the business of having a national currency. And sure enough, the value of the Continental, it depreciates so much, things are not worth the Continental, that eventually gold and silver, emerge as replacements. The problem, of course, is that there's still not enough gold and silver to actually make it worthwhile. So they're going to recreate the problems they had in the past. Unintentionally. Yeah.
Since they purchase so many continental dollars, do we still have some decent amounts today?
You can actually find them out. I'm going to tell you about the coins momentarily. So I told you the states put their own values on the money. So New Jersey decides it's going to change the value of continentals just about a year after that to 1/150th of their value. Pennsylvania, which is now fearing the money from New Jersey, decides to alter its value to 1/175th of its value. And within a week, the value of currency plummets 1/900. In other words, talk about things not being worth a continental. Your dollar, if you had a dollar bill, next week it will be worth 1/900 of its current value.
Oh boy.
Right? That's incredible depreciation. Before I get to your question, I told you sailors, always an unruly lot. They were getting paid in paper money, and so they actually riot in Philadelphia and start indiscriminately beating people. It does work, though. If the idea was to get gold and silver to emerge as the default currency, that had the effect. You had a question? In part because paper money schemes were always not working out, and they were kind of proving the point here. So they're intentionally creating problems with the hope of gold and silver emerging as the default currencies. The problem is they go back to the old problem they had, which is there's not enough gold and silver to actually allow their transactions. On purpose, but also not actually seeing the effects that are going to happen.
I don't understand what was their thinking in letting different states have their own values.
Because nobody trusted the centralized government. This is the whole problem that they're about to run into. Because the revolution is about centralized authority, everything is centralized under the articles. Here's an example where I was talking about the almanac. So there's this merchant, and then a guy who's purchasing Henry, and this guy John. So John's going to pay in 2 gold Portuguese coins worth £3 each, in English guinea worth £1 15 shillings, and $80 in banknotes, where $1 equals 7 shillings and some pennies, or the equivalent of 0.375 pounds times 80, which is a total of 30 pounds. So you add it all up, and his account is 37 pounds 15 shillings. Can you imagine going to the store and they don't take credit or checks, they only take cash, and you decide you're going to pay in American dollars, euros, and British pounds? And then there's no electronic way to do it, so you have to go to a book and figure out what the conversion rate is for all of those, and then you get to pay.
Like paying with debit, credit, check, and cash.
Except even slower.
How many shillings were
Shilling, well, the original rate was, it was 8. No, this is supposed to be even. So it was complicated, and of course the problem is, as I said, there isn't a good system at that time. So towards the end of the period of the Articles of Confederation, so the Constitutional Convention is in the summer of 1787 in Philadelphia. In that spring, the Congress decides that they're going to permit coinage of money. Coinage, not printing paper money, actual coins, right? They give the contract to a guy named Fugio. Therefore, these pennies are called the Fugio cents. Okay, so we get the contract, he mints all these coins, and then they have the Constitutional Convention, which is going to make all of this irrelevant because you're about to change the government again. So the Congress tells Fugio that all of his money is supposed to be destroyed and it's supposed to go into circulation. Well, as you can see, I have a picture of one which somebody was nice enough to put online. If you ever find one of these, they're worth over $1 million a piece. Okay? They're incredibly rare. Isn't that great? I think we should have. I think mind your own business should be back in our money again.
This one's only 1,000.
What's that?
I mean, it's from 1780.
So we're gonna compare the Articles of Confederation. The Confederacy, as you're going to see, it permitted state minting of currency, but the Congress got to have oversight over the values. So no one was trusted with that single responsibility. It did, however, permit private banking charters. That's going to become relevant later on when we start talking about how we're going to have.
Please.
The only thing everyone agreed on was that paper was bad. And it was only because there was no way to actually really assure that there wasn't going to be too much of it printed. So it always ended badly. And their experience during the Revolution of the Continentals was amazing. Yes?
If they knew that paper was bad because of it a lot, then why didn't they restrict?
Well, because they always had the problem with not enough coins. And they decide, well, the easiest way to address the problem of not having enough coins is they'll try a paper scheme once again. Maryland had 3 different paper schemes, and it tried to control for depreciation. Again, they're like, well, we'll really control how much of the red currency ends up going into circulation. They end up with the same problem, though. Ultimately, there's still depreciation of the values. There is simply something in paper money that makes it impossible for people to get their heads around. And so they fall back on mercantilist thinking. You have you know how much your gold and silver is worth, therefore your coins have the gold and silver, and that's what you trade in. The only problem is there's not enough of it.
How does it work?
Because we have a central bank and a Federal Reserve Board that tells us on any given day what the value of that currency is.
Does it change every day?
Now, that's here. They control it with the interest rates. Okay? Internationally, since 1972, when the U.S. pulled out of an international agreement, the Bretton Woods Agreement, which came out of World War II, since that time, the value of the American dollar is a free-floating currency that's traded on foreign exchanges. And so, one of the free-floating means it's whatever traders determine that it's worth. Fortunately for us, because the American dollar tends to be a default currency for a lot of people, it's considered trustworthy. One of the reasons for that also is going to have to do with Alexander Hamilton, which I will explain to you later. The United States has never defaulted on any of its foreign debts. And that's one of the reasons people trust the American dollar to be worth something. In recent years, Congress has threatened to intentionally default on debt, which is a really stupid idea. It means they don't pay whatever they owe. But that's never happened. Yeah. If you want an example of that, Iceland recently, during the recession in Europe, Iceland actually said, no, we're not paying our debts, we refuse. No. What's that?
If each state started getting their own currency, what was it the local
Then you have to, so if any of you have done any foreign travel, you have to exchange your American dollar for some other local currency. That would have meant that if you cross state lines from New Jersey to Pennsylvania, you actually are doing the same thing as if it's foreign exchange. Now, the continental was supposed to be the national currency, but as I said, it ends up not working out very well. And so the states were controlling the value of the continentals that are coming in and attempting to take local control. That doesn't work. Money schemes. I don't mean schemes as in like people trying to rip you off. I mean schemes as in arrangements where you try to use. So New Jersey had three different currencies that it introduced, hoping that one of them would not deflate. All three of them did. Well, it's possible. I mean, Iceland, when it defaulted on its debts, every Icelander was actually on the hook for over $1 million American dollars in debt. They don't. They simply said, no, we're not paying. All of you people who loaned us money, that's your problem. Now, think about it. I'm surprised all of you want to side with the bankers. Didn't the bankers cause the 2008 recession? We had a recession in 2008. A depression.
Wait, the Great Depression?
Like that. In fact, the recession in 2008 was second only to the Great Depression in terms of severity. No, it was because a bunch of bankers were loaning out money and giving it to people who they shouldn't have been loaning it to. Oh my God. We will get to this later in the class. What era did all of you grow up in?
I don't know.
The Republicans wanted to blame it on Obama. He wasn't even in office, so it couldn't have been his fault. Okay, in the interest of time, because all of you are about to drive me completely nuts, would you please go to Moodle and open up the documents as Articles of Confederation, full text. Now you're going to tell me that's not precisely the name.
It is though. There's a lot of text. Make sure it's entire text.
Okay, when you open it up, I want you to tell me where these powers are in there. Manage the federal government is equivalent to the bureaucracy or executive branch.
Go up.
So does it mention an executive branch? A presidency or something like that? Okay. The full text, not the excerpts now. I'm not asking you to read it. I'm asking you to do Control F and find these things.
I don't know, I did Control B.
Sure, what did you find?
No state shall engage in any form of consent to the United States.
Okay, so the declaration of war has to be done by the Congress, okay?
The United States and Congress Assembly, so they shall have the right and exclusive right, the power of regulating the alloy and value of coin struck by their own authority.
Okay.
As per the foreign states, no state will not be consent of the United States and Congress
Okay, so the federal government, it's not federal, the Confederation government is responsible for setting up controlling foreign affairs.
The taxes for paying that portion shall be laid and levied by the authority and direction of the legislatures of several states in the time agreed upon by the United States.
Okay, good.
Every state shall always keep up a well-regulated and disciplined militia, sufficiently armed and accoutred.
Okay. What else? Oh, one more important question. How do you amend it? The Articles of Confederation, what was the process to amend it? Okay, it doesn't use the word amend. It says alter, and it has to, all of the states, 100% of them need to agree before it can be done.
Wait, 100%?
Yes. So if it's 13 states at that time, 13. As new states come in, the number would obviously go up. Okay. Before I get to the next part, I'll show you. In 1786, a year before the meeting in Philadelphia, so the war ended in 1783, and Massachusetts, like a lot of the states, didn't offer any kind of protection to people who were in debt. The Constitution is very will. Everyone expected that with the end of the war there was going to be some kind of depression. There was. This economic downturn comes in 1784. So it had been going on for a couple of years. You have these creditors in Britain immediately with independence. They're like, hey, you need to pay up now. We don't trust you people, so now you need to give us all the money that you owe us. That, of course, is going to make things worse because now people have to come up with money to pay off their debts. Therefore, there isn't money to be spending on other things that they might be doing, so the economy plummets. A guy named Daniel Shays, who had been a captain in Washington's army, he leads this militia to go and get their weapons out of the arsenal at Springfield, in Massachusetts, the capital of Massachusetts, right? Just like Lexington and Concord, they want to go get their weapons. So they shut down the local court, go attack the arsenal, and the problem they have now is that the courts and the merchants are not on their side as they have been during the Revolution. Because the Revolution is over, now we're looking at leaving people in debt. So the government decides to send out another one of its commanders from the military, a guy named Lincoln. And they send him to put down the revolt. So he does. The rebels are caught, tried, convicted, and then pardoned, to everyone's surprise. The next year they decide that they're going to do it again. They throw out the government and they elect John Hancock as their governor. John Hancock, the pirate, with the signature on the Declaration. This kind of unrest had people very, very concerned. And unfortunately, it wasn't limited to just Massachusetts. There's another guy named Matthews. This is going to sound familiar to you. Remember Bacon's Rebellion? Well, here they are after the Revolution. In fact, the year after Shays' Rebellion. The Indian tax on the frontier settlements, still very common, just as they were in the time of Bacon. Land speculators were trying to extract payment for land. Wow, that sounds familiar. There were high taxes, including a certificate tax that hit taverns. That sounds familiar. And there was a tavern keeper, this guy Matthews, who lived in Greenbrier County. If you look for Greenbrier County today, you'll find it in West Virginia, because West Virginia was carved out of Virginia very soon. He led the revolt leads a revolt that burns down the county jail, and they plan to prevent the August 1787 court from sitting. Now this is happening while the Continental Congress is going on. Right? Matthews had already been successfully sued for debts and had refused to pay. So upon being arrested, his militia actually comes and frees him from jail. They do a jailbreak with like his local militia. He could have escaped. He could have just said, okay, I'm done. Instead of escaping, he actually goes to Richmond. And this show of force, and this threat of rebellion actually forces the legislators to now rescind the tavern tax, this certificate tax that they've been put on a short time before. What we have in Massachusetts and we have in Virginia, these are just two examples, there are other smaller ones, right? There is this threat that people who are taxed and people who have debts are now posing to the new authorities, people who want to assert power in the new independent regime of independence. And so the question is, what can the Confederation government do? The answer is not very much. Sure, they can declare war and control foreign affairs. They can even create a postal system. The coining money, there's kind of a shared responsibility, obviously, between the states and the Confederation. Can they impose taxes? No. Can they use the state militias? Well, the states can. The national government can. Can they regulate trade? No. Organize a court system? Yes, but they never get around to it. Can they protect property rights? No. Well, maybe they could, they never tried. Can they manage a federal government? No, there's no executive branch. The Constitution, of course, is all of them, right? So in Philadelphia in 1787, you have people who have just witnessed Shays' Rebellion and they're seeing what's going on in Virginia, or they're hearing about it. And they're very concerned. They need to come up with a system that is going to prevent this kind of unrest. Oh, before I get to that part. So there's going in Philadelphia in 1787. They're going to draft a constitution. Actually, I'll tell you about that here. But one of the things that's going to happen, this is Section 8 and Section 10 of the Constitution, is a lot of people are like, wow, the best section of the Constitution is Section 10, the contract clause. It protects the lenders. Edmund Randolph will say it's a great favorite of mine. These are anonymous. I don't know what's true. They're from other researchers' work. One person will call it the soul of the Constitution. A New Jersey Federalist will call it nothing in the whole federal Constitution is more necessary than this section. The ban on paper money alone would be enough to recommend the new Constitution to honest men, said Benjamin Rush. Right? They're ecstatic about the fact that the new federal Constitution will make basically Shays' Rebellion irrelevant because the government can actually, enforce the situation. And the same with Matthews in Virginia. In other words, Shays and Matthews would both end up on the losing end. They will not be getting their militias out and resisting the government because the government will now be in a position in which it can enforce contracts, and that includes debts, and require them to be paid. So, in the summer of 1787, they're going to call, supposedly, they're going to call a meeting to amend the Articles, right? Which means you need all 13 states to be present. It's strange that they're not meeting that they're not necessarily meeting in the Congress, right? But anyway, they're having this separate meeting. James Madison who's from Virginia, he shows up with a document already written. He's like, hey, look what I wrote. Now, this is a stroke of brilliance on his part. And the moral to the story is, if you're ever called to do something and everyone doesn't know, like, you have to like draft something and you don't know what it's going to be, and everyone's like, hey, what are you thinking? And the other person says, hey, what are you thinking? And you want to put your ideas on paper. If you show up with something already written, you get to dictate the terms of the conversation, which is what he does. So Madison's like, oh, we don't like the Articles of Confederation? He gets to work. He drafts his own. It forces everyone to have to converse about what he's created. His constitution, this initial one, is called the Virginia Plan. Historians recently discovered that there was another arrangement that came after the Virginia Plan called the Pinckney Plan. Pinckney, he was from South Carolina. They could have called it the South Carolina Plan, but they just discovered it recently. They know it's attributed to this guy named Pinckney, so they call it. Then there was going to be, there's another one called the New Jersey Plan. These are all responses to Madison's original draft, the Virginia Plan, right? Pinckney is a response to the Virginia Plan. There's the New Jersey Plan. And then there is this one, which brings it all together. The Connecticut Compromise. There's going to be one more, which we'll get to later, which is the 3/5 Compromise. These compromises are about overall structure. This one will actually have kind of a ripple effect that will have a bunch of implications about that structure, so we'll get to it later. What I'm going to do is have you count off by fours, and I'm going to give each one of you one of these. You can tell us about it when I see them in C-Date. So I'll start with you. You're number one.
You're number one.
1,
2.
1,
Oh, I'm
2, 4.
2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 4. Okay, ones, you're all going to have the Virginia Plan. You can all meet over here so you know who's working on it. 2s, Pinckney Plan. You can go over there. 3s, New Jersey Plan. You can come over here. And Connecticut Compromise number 4 can come over here. Okay? So when I see you on Wednesday, I'll give you a few minutes here to find each other.
Make a Google Doc. We're doing the Connecticut?
What number are you guys?
4. Are we? Or are they? Has anyone created a Google Doc yet? If not, I have one.
Okay, yeah.
Can you put your Gmail in and like pass it?
Hamilton used to think that people without coverage should be allowed to vote. That's very popular. Like Orthodox law. What? Oh no, the plans, you need to look them up. They're not on there.
man. I accidentally deleted yours. Wait, help me. Like that. Thanks.
Wait, two. Three ones? Wait. Yeah. D-O.
So this is from my government class. We're talking about the media today. No, these are all of the sources that that the president banned from press conferences last week.
Isn't that censoring?
Yes.
That's okay.
Why did you ban those?
Because they were critical.
But that's not a thing that's legal. What?
Are you taglong?
Huh?
Are you taglong?
Yeah, I use fake names for things because I'm paranoid. I don't want to date Russians. What? Where's Sherman?
We have a couple minutes left. So I will respond to last minute emails tonight. I'm free after this mod. I'm free actually until after school, and then I'll be up. But I will respond to emails tonight if you have anything last minute. When I see you on Wednesday, make sure that you're ready to talk about what I just gave you. Okay?
You put it on inside database thing. That's right.